Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to see you all here in this Shabbat. It's the last day of March, and Pesach begins very soon, and we're getting ready. So as we welcome Shabbat, we turn to the words on page 20. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umlo'o. The words of Psalm 96, let the heavens rejoice, let the earth be glad, let the sea and all its contents thunder praise. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umlo'o. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz yiram hayam umlo'o. Welcome Shabbat, we do so with light, and it's my pleasure to call upon Ruth, who's going to lead us in one of the readings, page 20 and 21, and the lighting of the candles on page 23.
We read responsively on the bottom of page 20. On this day we would see the world in a new light. On this day we would add new spirit to our lives.
On this day we would taste a time of peace. We would rest from desire for gain and ambition for things.
We would raise our eyes to look beyond time and space toward eternity. Oh, may we come to see the world in a new light.
As it is written, let a new light shine upon Zion, and may it be our blessing to see its splendor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadligner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Page 24, We pray responsively on the bottom of page 26. My God, I thirst for you, I yearn for you. You are like clouds of spring rain, bringing cool water to the parched and dusty desert of my soul. In the sanctuary where I feel the power and the glory of your presence, my mouth fills with songs of praise. All my days I will bless you, for I trust you more than life. I feel sated as with a royal feast. When I sing your praises, my heart dances. Page 29.
Shabbat.
34. David, would you lead us there, and how can I sing?
How can I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them?
How can I sing of heaven and earth
when it is God who decreed them?
How can I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them?
How can I sing of seas and deserts when it is God who begot them?
And how can I sing of earth and its fullness when it is God who bade them be?
I shall sing to God who fashioned all and is beyond all. It is God I shall sing.
We rise in body or in spirit for the words of Baruch Hu. At the top of page 37, reading Aleph, Joe, would you lead us in the English?
We praise you, eternal our God, whose presence fills creation. Your word brings on the evening twilight. You open the gates of dawn with wisdom and with foresight. You make times pass and seasons change.
Your plan sets the course of the stars in the sky, creating day and night, turning light into darkness, and darkness into light.
You make the day fade away and bring on the night, separating day and night. You rule the hosts of heaven.
We praise the Eternal One, who brings on the evening twilight.
Praise you, Eternal One, who loves us, your people Israel. As together we rise for the words of Shema Ve'ahavta. Shema Israel, Adonai Echad. Shema Israel, Adonai Adonai
Asher Anochi Mitzarcha Hayom Halecha B'Shilatam Rodecha V'Dibartam L'Shivtecha B'Beitecha U'Lechtecha B'Derech U'Shavtecha U'Kumecha U'Shartam Le'ot Ayatecha Ve'ayilot Akot Be'minecha U'Chtartam Am Tizot Beitecha U'Yisharecha Le'ma'an Tizkeru V'Asitem Et Kol Mitzvotai V'Yitem Kedoshim Le'Elokechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hoseti Echem Me'eretz Mitzrayim V'yod lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Amen.
On the bottom of page 42, Emma, would you lead us in reading that?
I, Miriam, stand at the sea and turn to face the desert stretching endless and still.
My arms reach to the sky, and I want to sing a song rising inside me.
My mouth open, I stop. Where are the words? Where the melody? In a moment of panic, my vision goes blank. Can I take a step without knowing a destination? Will I falter? Will I fall? Will the ground sink away from under me?
The song's still unformed. How can I sing? To take the first step, to sing a new song, to close one's eyes, and dive into unknown waters. For a moment, knowing nothing could sing all, but then to discover the waters are friendly, the ground is firm, and the song rises again.
As you redeemed Israel and saved us from arms stronger than our own, so may you redeem all those who are still oppressed and persecuted. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, Eternal One, Redeemer of Israel.
Day,
continue responsively at the top of page 47. Ruth, would you lead us there, reading Aleph?
The strength of a piece of cloth is in the threads of which the whole is woven.
The tapestry of our Jewish heritage has in it threads of many colors, from bright gold to somber black.
With its colors echoing the events of the time, this tapestry was begun many thousands of years ago. Its weaving will continue for the many thousands of years to come.
The first strand slid through the fingers of Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Their thread was strong, their colors were brilliant.
The pattern grew, the length increased, and the stories of our heroines and heroes, their deeds, their lives, were woven into a cloth of beauty and lasting strength.
We join together on page 49 with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadol v'yitkadash me'rabah.
Amen.
Ve'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like the softness of moonlight, illumines the darkness in which we walk. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. We continue responsively in the middle of page 54, reading that. Larry, would you lead us there?
Out of the land of heaven, down comes the warm Shabbat sun. Into the spice box of earth, the queen will make every Jew her beloved.
In a white silk coat, our rabbi dances up the street, wearing our lawns like a green prayer shawl, brandishing houses like silver flags.
Behind him dances pupils, dancing not so high and chanting the rabbi's prayer, but not so sweet.
And who waits for him on the throne at the end of the street, but the Shabbat queen?
Down to his hands into the spice box of earth, and there he finds the fragrant sun for a wedding ring, and draws her wedding finger through.
And gathered on the green lawn, the people call him Rabbi, and fill their mouths with good bread, and his happy smile. Words of avodah, words asking God to hear our prayer, on page 58. Let us rejoice and give thanks to God whose name is blessed. God has sustained us to witness the ingathering of the exiles of our people. From all corners of the world come a people without a land to Eretz Yisrael, a land remembered and waiting. They rebuilt the neglected country and were healed from their sufferings. They made the soil fruitful and they were blessed. Their children now grow in a land of their own. They brought life to the land, renewed vigor to our people. We rejoice and give thanks to God. Their peace is our hope. Their freedom is our joy. Their creation is our pride. Together may we become a light to the nations. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato Tzion. We praise you, Eternal One, who brings your Shekhinah to Zion. And the words of the Hoda'ah prayer together on page 60. We gratefully acknowledge, Eternal God, that you are our Creator and our Preserver, the rock of our life and our protective shield. We give thanks to you for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your keeping, for your wondrous providence and your continuous goodness, which you bestow upon us day by day. Truly, your mercies never fail, and your love and kindness never cease. Therefore do we put our trust in you. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm and praise your name in truth. Eternal God, whose name is goodness, we give you thanks and praise. On page 63, Birkat Shalom, a blessing, a prayer for peace. Shalom. to pray the words of our own hearts. Say shalom Ilama, Uya say shalom Aleinu. Oh, say shalom Ilama, Uya say shalom Aleinu. Oh, say shalom Ilama, Uya say shalom Aleinu. Shalom Aleinu le'Kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu le'Kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu le'Kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu le'Kol Yisrael. Please join me on page 133. We pray for those in need of healing, healing of body and healing of spirit. May the one who blessed the patriarchs and matriarchs of our people also bless and heal those who require healing. We are thinking this Shabbat especially of Raymond and Francis Rigby, Eudoro Torres, Consuelo Franco, Dylan Cacao, Brian Bogach, Janet Brown, Leah Haller, Francis Hernick, Wilfred Walker, Shirley Herman, Rick Valentine, Marlene Friedman, Jack Kudlas, Suzanne Scher-Stimson, Bernie McLennan, Nicola Proetti, Eliyahu Ben Yitzhak Sarah, Rebecca Bodville, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Nicole Hansen, Raina Rowan, Gilon DeRuzi, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Delit Sewer, Al Lofsky, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Shank, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Shmuel Ben Devora, Karen Smith, Francis Van Tyne, and Bob Smith. I invite you to add any other names that you are praying for on the Shabbat, either aloud or in your heart.
David Clark.
Patty Bruce.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh Rachamim Aleichem. May the Holy One treat them with compassion. May the Shekhinah rest upon them so that they may be restored to wholeness, both in body and in soul. And we stay together. Amen. I want to speak a little bit about this week's Parsha, which is Tzav, but first I want to tell you a little bit about a bar mitzvah. It was a very proud day for Kevin's parents. They sat in the front row of the synagogue, and when he completed the Haftarah, the rabbi addressed him and presented him with gifts from the various parts of the congregation. And then the rabbi gave Kevin a very special personal gift. It was an umbrella. And that might have been fitting for this season of the year. At the conclusion of the service, though, before the Kiddush, Kevin's parents approached the rabbi and were puzzled and said, why did you give Kevin an umbrella and not a Tanakh? And the rabbi answered, because I know that he will open the umbrella. Now, much of what seems important in our lives depends on what we find meaning and relevance in, and that's one of the reasons that for many people in the Jewish community, really many people who read the Tanakh, the Bible, the book of Leviticus can be very confusing and perhaps not one that we want to open very often, especially when we read Torah portions like the one that we're reading this week, Tzav, that consists largely of detailed descriptions of burnt offerings, animal and grain sacrifices. There's a lot of details about what the Kohanim should wear, the priests, when they are making these offerings, and how the fire should be tended and kept burning, and how the offerings, including incense, should be turned into smoke on the altar as a pleasing odor to God. Now, usually when I read these passages, I do think about the history that is in them, and I'm grateful that we no longer practice those practices. Of course, that was biblical Judaism. We now live in the period of rabbinic Judaism, and we understand that our relationship with God and our communication occurs in a very different way, through prayer. Sometimes when we're reading portions like this, very close to the start of Passover, Pesach, I think how much our preparations for this holiday are in some ways a reminder of these preparations that were done in the book of Vayikra and Leviticus, how the careful cleaning of our homes, our physical separation of leavening, and certain other kinds of food, and those physical details that demand all of our attention more than they do at other times, in some ways are substitutes for kind of the ritualized detail that made up the daily lives of the Kohanim that is described in the book of Vayikra, in the book of Leviticus, and in this parsha, Tzav. It begins, Adonai spoke to Moses and said, Tzav Aharon and his Vanim, command Aaron and his sons. In the plural, the term mitzvot signifies specific commandments that are contained in the Torah. And in the Talmud, the terminology mitzvot is kind of a general term for the 613 mitzvot that are either positive or negative. In other words, you should do them or you should not do them. And they're classified as well, our rabbis say, into 365 negative mitzvot, which correspond to the 365 days of the solar year, and 248, which correspond in number to the parts of the human body. If you're a science major, you know that's not really true, but it makes a very nice midrash, because when you add them together, you get 613. So the rabbi said you should strive every day with all of your body to fulfill the mitzvot, to follow the path of Torah. Colloquially, when we talk about mitzvah, it seems to have come to express an act of human kindness. And there are some reflections on what it means, tzav, to be commanded in this parsha and in the general sense of mitzvot overall throughout the Torah. In the Talmud, we read that it's greater is one who is commanded to do something and proceeds to go and do it than one who's not commanded at all to do something and does it. In other words, because it is something that is incumbent upon you, it's something that you take on as a mitzvah, it is greater that you do that, you fulfill it, sometimes even if you don't really feel like it. Now, most people, I think, though, regard doing something voluntarily as being superior to something that's obligated, right? So this seems a little bit puzzling to us. But I think that a major reason that we get from our sources, the rabbis valued people acting out of a sense of commitment, is their belief that people will behave more often with consistency than those who do things when they just feel like it. That's probably true, actually, if you think about your own life. If we get tired of something, we don't feel that we have a commitment to it or an obligation, we'll just stop doing it. One of the rabbis said that the mitzvot were given to us for that reason, for the purpose of refining our character, our morality, who we are through observing them. Because he said, you know, what does it really matter to God whether we follow these mitzvot, specifically the ones that he's referring to are the ones in this parsha of animal offerings or whatever. He said it's really more about refining your moral character and teaching you to be a consistent, committed person in your life, not only for yourself, but for the community that you are a part of. And as similar to that, your ethical mitzvot. There's another passage in the Talmud also that talks about how the rabbis would practice mitzvot, and it says that in Talmud Shabbat, Tractate Talmud Shabbat, says that each rabbi would practice one mitzvah in particular until he got it perfect. Rav Judah gave all of his mind to prayer. Rav Sheshet never went about without wearing his tefillin. Rav Huna Bar Joshua never went out without his head covered. Rav Nachman prepared carefully for the 3 Shabbat meals. Abaye never failed to serve wine and make a festive day for scholars when a student had finished studying a tractate. Now we think about that, and it's a bit different than when we understand, trying to follow mitzvot, or at least those that we are in the process of acquiring as commitments. It seems that the rabbis here are giving us an example of just honing in on one particular thing and doing that kind of to exhaustion until you've gotten it perfect. And we all know that that's really a hard way to live, not only because we have all kinds of other commitments and expectations with others, but because we're probably never going to be perfect. So I kind of wonder what that example is supposed to teach us, but it does tell us that the rabbis really tried to focus with a sense of kavanah in what they were doing in their practice. In modern Hebrew, that same word for tzav, mitzvah, or tzaveh means to command, and it tends to be used in government context or in military context. And in that way, we might think about it as strict obedience or rebellion. So maybe that does kind of dovetail with the idea that each rabbi was choosing one particular mitzvah to perfect in his life. But I think today, our understanding is more than just commandment, more than just good deed. It is really about commitment. It's about connection. It's about linking us together. And that's especially important for us in Reform Judaism. Among traditional ideas that really have new resonance for us today, I think, as Jews in the modern world, that idea of mitzvah is bringing us to a place where we can choose to study and to learn, and also understand it as a link from present to past, to the generations of those before us that have entered into this committed relationship with God and with our people, and to follow that path, follow that pathway, even though sometimes we don't know exactly where it's going to lead us down the road of mitzvot, but to pick up along the path a mitzvah and another mitzvah, and finding how it changes who we are in our lives and our relationship with God and with people. And in that way, circling back to the understanding of the beginning of this parsha, God says to Moses, command Aaron and his sons. We are the people of Israel, B'nai Yisrael. We are commanded, we are committed, we are connected. Shabbat Shalom. I invite you to join me on page 149 for the words of Aleinu. Aleinu says, it is up to us to try to make the world better. We rise in body or spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet g'dola liotzer b'reshit, asher samchelkenu liachid et shemo, v'gor aleinu l'amlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imol, Kagato betorato beadatayom beadatayom beashvota elvavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mim'al ve'al haaretz mitachat ein od v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Page 155. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made the world in a way that we must find our own path to peace within ourselves and with our neighbor. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope, if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healings, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of merely to pray, to become instead of merely to wish, that our world may be safe and that our lives may be blessed. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all of those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We are in Shloshim at this time for Anne Rosenberg, the mother of Mike Rosenberg, the mother-in-law of Lisa, and the grandmother of Sarah, Rebecca, and Hannah. And for Pauline Portnoy, the wife of Harold, the sister to Patricia, sister-in-law to Helen, Yvonne, and Alex. We recall the names of the following, whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week: Monty Grossman, the father of David; Martha Ruth Lyons, the mother of Sandra Levy; Winnie Norton, the grandmother of Dennis Norton and Susan Dean Norton, and the great-grandmother of Jordan; Elliot Bubrick, the grandfather of Phil Subeck; Millie Bubrick, the grandmother of Phil Subeck; and Sharon Subeck, the mother of Phil, my mother-in-law, and the grandmother of Seth, Gil, and Rachel. Maurice Grant, the father of Jeanette Foyer and the grandfather of Daniel, Aaron, and Rachel. Imri Fakit, the husband of Margaret Dutton. Charles Benson, the father of Aubrey. Esther Assenheim, the mother-in-law of Ruth. Jerry Phillipson, the brother of Diane Adler. Minnie Guerra, the mother of Murray, the grandmother of Tina, and the great-grandmother of Jack. Goldie Lipschitz, the grandmother of John Marlowe. Mary Stock, the mother and mother-in-law of Les, Esther, Eleanor, and the late David. Jack and Diane, the grandmother of Linda, Marla, Deborah, Marnie, Ilana, Shari, Leslie, and Martin. And the great-grandmother of Reva, Ezra, Isaac, Abby, the late Sophie, Emma, Sonia, Brianna, Talia, Charlie, Danny, and Jackson. And Nasser Najmabadi, the uncle of Diti Noruzi. If you are here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I haven't read, I invite you to speak their name aloud at this time or to hold their name in your heart.
Brian Eastwood.
We ask the mourners to please rise first, so that we might say to Min Hamakom Tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. Page 159. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'alav v'zman kariv v'imrameh. Yehi shmei rabbah barach ve'alam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei v'shabrichu. Le'im la min kol birchata v'shirata, chushvachata v'nechemata, da'miram ve'alma v'yibrameh. Yehi shlama rabba v'shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yibrameh. Osei shalom v'yirmam, v'yasei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei adam v'yibrameh. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all of our people, and among all the nations and families of earth. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated. It's my pleasure to call upon Dennis Norton, representing our board, to share some greetings and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. And thank you, Rabbi. So also a couple of thank yous to Joel for keeping us connected to everyone at home through the technology. Shamus, want to thank Zachary Harper. And a couple of updates on upcoming services. So this Saturday will be regular Erev Shabbat service. Wednesday, April 5th, will be a firstborn Passover minyan, followed by a community breakfast. So that will replace the regular Tuesday morning minyan. And it's first Seder night. Thursday, April 6th at 10 a.m. will be first day family Passover service, and it's second Seder night. Friday, April the 7th, 8 p.m., regular Erev Shabbat service with a Pathway guest speaker. And Saturday, April 8th will be a regular Shabbat service. A couple of other things to let people know about. Solel charitable tax receipts. So you should have received your tax receipt by now. If we have your email address, you should have received it in email. If not, you should take a look to see if books at solel.ca is in one of your safe email senders list. If we don't have an email address, you should receive it through Canada Post. If you haven't received this, let us know, and we'll make sure that you get that. And a couple more updates on upcoming events. So Thursday at 12 noon will be a luncheon discussion with Rabbi Pollock by Zoom. And then on Sunday, 10:30 a.m., will be adult study with Rabbi Pollock on Jewish wisdom for life's greatest questions. One other reminder of upcoming project is Solel Living Torah Project. So it's not an upcoming project, it's actually happening now. As part of our upcoming 50th anniversary celebration, we're working to create a new Torah scroll. And you can be part of that by sponsoring either a letter, a word, a phrase, a verse, a parsha. There's lots of ways to contribute. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll give you more information on that. And there's one other announcement. I can see it here. It's a special day for someone. It's a birthday. So.
Thank you. Wonderful. So we are going to close our service with Kiddush for this Shabbat, which is on page 163. And please rise and join with Emma. Following that, we will join together for owning Shabbat in the Kiddush room.
That's when we'll make you skip around the room.
All right.
Vayhi Erev Vayhi Boker Yom HaShishi. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was completed. With the seventh day, God had ended the work of creation and rested with all work completed. Then God blessed the seventh day and called it holy, for with this day God had completed the work of creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei bari ha'gafem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu. Shabbat kodsho v'ahavu v'ratzon hinkilanu, zikaron le'maaseh bereshit, kilu yom tehillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher le'tziyad mitzrayim. Ki
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Wish you Shabbat peace and joy and rest, and please come and join us for our next Shabbat in the Kiddush room.